The Muslim approach to comparative religion is quite different from the Christian approach. The Christian is brought up to believe that his religion is the only true one, with Judaism as a preparation for Christianity, and that all other religions are false. He thinks that God has chosen and set apart the children of Israel for the purpose of revealing his messages and sending his prophets, and so he believes only in the prophets and religious teachers of Israel and looks upon all other claimants to prophethood as impostors. Christian missionaries have all along employed their energies at proving the holy founders of other religions to the false and wicked men, so that they might establish the unique claim of Jesus Christ. One has only to read their books about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, and his religion, to find how their religious preconceptions and prejudices have made them incapable of seeing the truth of others. They have not hesitated even to mistranslate the Holy Quran and spread many misstatements about the Prophet Muhammad to serve their own purpose. If they find anything in another religion resembling something in their own, instead of feeling happy, they feel discouraged and hasten to explain it away as due to Christian influence. The Muslim, on the other hand, believes in the divine origin of all the great religions of the world. The sacred book of Islam declares that God has raised prophets in every nation to guide the people to the path of truth and righteousness. Being the loving creator and sustainer all the worlds, he cannot become partial and choose one nation to the exclusion of all others for revealing his messages. A Muslim must believe in the founders of all the great religions. He may feel sorry to see how the Jews and the Christians have, in part, forsaken and altered the true teachings of Moses and Jesus, but he can never speak against the holy prophets of those religions, for he has been directed by the Holy Quran to believe in them as true and righteous prophets of God. He has the same respect and love for them as he has for Prophet Muhammad. It is therefore with a feeling of profound love and respect for both Jesus and Muhammad and for the religions which they preached that I embark upon a comparative study of Islam and Christianity. If at times I find myself disagreeing with the Christians, it is not over the religion of Jesus, but over the altered shape and features that it developed after the departure of Christ. In the words of Lord Headley, Islam and Christianity, as taught by Christ himself, are sister religions, only held apart by dogmas and technicalities which might very well be dispensed with.
The Gospel and the Quran. Both Christianity and Islam claim to be revealed religions. Jesus Christ declared that the message he was delivering was not his, but God's. I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me. He gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. John chapter 12, verse 49. He described himself as a man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of God. John chapter 8, verse 40. In the same way, it is claimed in the Quran that the revelation which came to Prophet Muhammad was from the Lord of the worlds. And lo, it, that is, the Quran, is a revelation of the Lord of the worlds, which the true Spirit hath brought down upon thy heart, O Muhammad, that thou mayest be one of the warners. The Quran, chapter 26, verses 192 to 194. From this it follows that the truth of either religion depends on the accuracy with which the inspired words of its founder too have been recorded, and on the textual purity of its scripture. If the message which was revealed by God to a prophet has not reached us exactly as it was delivered, but has been misreported and altered, then to that extent that religion may be regarded as having deviated from truth. In this chapter, we shall see how far the inspired words and revelations of Jesus and Muhammad have been faithfully recorded in the Gospels, the Quran, respectively, and how far these scriptures have remained free from alteration or interpolation of any kind. Composition and character of the Gospels. There are 4 Gospels included in the Bible: the Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We come across many inspired sayings of Jesus in these Gospels.
They were composed between 40 and 80 years after the departure of Jesus, on the basis of some earlier documents which are now lost. Biblical scholars have identified some of these earlier documents as 1. Q, German Quelle, equals source, a lost document in Aramaic which reached the writers of the Gospels in a Greek translation, and 2. Marcus, primitive Mark, an earlier draft of Mark's Gospel written on the basis of Peter's discourses about Jesus, and 3. L, a collection of reports about Jesus used only by Luke. A comparison of the Gospels will show that their authors used these lost documents in a somewhat free manner. They did not even hesitate to change some things contained in them to suit their own purpose. The first Gospel to be written was that of Mark. It was written at Rome at least 40 years after the so-called crucifixion of Jesus. The Gospel, as we have it today, is considered to be an expanded version of Marcus, about which Papias, an early Christian writer, has the following to say. The elder John used to say, Mark, having become Peter's interpreter, wrote down accurately whatsoever he remembered. It was not, however, in exact order that he related sayings or deeds of Christ. For he neither heard the Lord nor accompanied him, but subsequently, as I said, attached himself to Peter, who used to frame his teaching to meet the wants of his hearers, and not as making a connected narrative of the Lord's discourses. It is not possible to say whether Marcus was expanded and revised to give us the Gospel of Mark as we have it today by Mark himself or by some other person. Dr. C.J. Cadu, who was the Mackinaw Professor of Church History at Oxford, thus sums up the conclusions of eminent biblical scholars regarding the nature and composition of this Gospel. It was written after Peter's martyrdom, 65 A.D., and at a time when Mark, who had not himself been a disciple of Jesus, apparently had none of the personal disciples of Jesus within reach, by whose knowledge he could check his narrative. These circumstances of its composition account for the existence in it, side by side, a number of signs of accuracy and a certain number of inaccuracy and inaccuracy. The Gospel of Matthew was written in Greek at Antioch about 90 CE. The author made use of at least 2 lost documents, Q and Marcus. No independent scholar regards this Gospel as the work of Matthew, the apostle of Jesus. If Matthew composed anything, it must have been only Q. Regarding the liberties taken by the unknown author of this Gospel, C.J. Cadu writes, but a close examination of the treatment he gives to his borrowings from Mark shows that he allowed himself great freedom in editing and embroidering his material in the interest of what he regarded as the rightful honoring of the great master. The same tendencies are often visible elsewhere when he is producing Q or providing matter peculiar to himself. Anything therefore strictly peculiar to Matthew can be accepted as historical only with great caution. The third Gospel, the Gospel of Luke, was written somewhere in Greece about 80 CE for the benefit of the most excellent Theophilus, probably a high official of the Roman Empire. It was an apologetic addressed to non-Jews. The writer, who was the friend and travel companion of St. Paul, made use of at least 3 lost documents. 2 of these were identical with those used by the writer of Matthew's Gospel, and the third was peculiar to himself. Luke, who wished to bring his Gospel in line with the Pauline point of view, took even greater liberties with his sources than the writer of Matthew's Gospel had done. The Gospels of Mark, Matthew, and Luke are called the Synoptic Gospels because they proceed on the basis of the same lost document and have much in common. The Gospel of John is very different from these. The divinity and pre-existence of Jesus are affirmed in this Gospel alone, though never as a claim put forward by Jesus. In the opening lines, the writer of the Gospel of John makes the claim that the divine Logos, the Word or reason of God, which created the world, had become incarnate in Jesus. The Gospel of John was written at or near Ephesus between the years 110 and 115 of the Christian era by some unknown writer who was anti-Semitic and represented the Jews as the enemies of Jesus Christ. No independent scholar regards it as the work of John, the son of Zebedee, who, according to R.H. Charles, Alfred Loisy, Robert Eisler, and other scholars, was beheaded by Agrippa I in the year 44 A.D., long before the fourth Gospel was written. Modern biblical scholars doubt the genuineness not only of the writer's own views expressed in this Gospel, but also of the words put by him in the mouth of Jesus. C.J. Cadu writes, "The speeches in the fourth Gospel, even apart from the early messianic claim, are so different from those in the synoptics and so like the comments of the fourth evangelist that both cannot be equally reliable as records of what Jesus said." Literary veracity in ancient times did forbid, as it does now, the assignment of fictitious speeches to historical characters. The best ancient historians made a practice of assigning such speeches in this way.